Hello, and welcome back to WIT's Guide to STEAM, the podcast where we talk to real women in STEAM. I'm your host, Nicole Smith, and we are joined here with Angie Sandritter. She has a really exciting career that has led her into independent consulting, centering around AI. And we are very excited to have her in the studio today. So let's get started. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here. I want to jump right into it and ask you about your upbringing. I want to know about your childhood and how you got to be who you are today.
So, entrepreneurship, I think, is where I've landed. But looking back at my childhood, I was raised by my parents who were very much into liberal arts. So my dad was a professional artist. My mom was interested in history and studied history. So nothing to do with technology. In fact, it was the furthest thing from my mind. So when I started my career, I really started in music education. So I thought, I'm going to be a music teacher someday, and went to school for that. But here at the University of Alabama in Huntsville is where I did my undergraduate degree, and I actually got a job interning in the College of Science.
Oh, cool.
And so working at that time for the dean, I was able to be exposed to other types of fields and really grew to love computer science, which was under the College of Science at that point. And so I was able to do some work with the College of Science through that internship, began doing some programming, and thought, I really like this. So at that point, I actually made a change in my whole career path from music education, moving into beginning a career at Adtran here in Huntsville and going into the technical side of things, and never really became a music teacher, which was a big career shift.
Yeah, it sounds like it. What about your high school? What did you do for fun in high school? Did you have any extracurricular activities?
So in high school, I was show choir captain. I went to Grissom High School and here in Huntsville. And I did a lot with music at that point.
Cool. Jumping into your early career, I know that you talked a little bit about Adtran, but I know that you have other things under your belt as well. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, I grew up at Adtran, so I worked a few years there and learned very different aspects of how do you sell a product? How do you market a product? How do you develop a product? How do you support a product? And so I felt like Adtran had some good tricks of the trade, I guess, to build up a pretty universal foundation for this. And I later went over to Digium, which was more of a startup type of environment, also a company here in Huntsville. And Digium was a little bit more in the entrepreneurship space in the sense that it was a younger company, less established processes. And so we were standing up many of the processes at that point, implementing more guerrilla marketing techniques and learning how to bring a product to market. Through that, I did fall in love with this idea of entrepreneurship. Met my husband, and we ended up founding companies and helping to stand up different companies. And so that's been a pretty exciting adventure.
That's awesome. It's awesome that you have a partner that kind of like reflects like what you're doing. What is your leadership style? How would you describe it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've been known to be collaborative in nature as far as the leadership style. I definitely want to see others succeed and bring in really good talent so that they can succeed. I think I've learned some lessons, though, in my journey as a leader, and I am striving to be decisive, clear communicator, and showing the way as we move forward. So I think that's where I'm wanting to grow in leadership capabilities.
Do you think people are born natural leaders, or do you think that it's something that most people have to learn?
This is a good question, nature versus nurture, right? And so I do think if you see this modeled in your home growing up, this is going to become innate to you as an individual, and you'll take that into later areas of your life. So I do think there's some level of temperament, some level of what you've seen modeled to you. But then I do think you learn a lot from what has worked, has not worked, and can continue to develop those skills later in life too.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So into your kind of current career, I know that you've had some very big titles. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience as a CEO and founder of a company?
Yeah, absolutely. So we recently transacted and sold RippleWorx, which was, I would say, more my baby than any other company that I've worked with in the past. And so we developed RippleWorx and fell into the role of beginning to put in operations and help set up processes, and moved into the CEO role at that point to help really guide the company through that transition. And it's an exciting thing. I think being a CEO is more of a servant role than actually a leadership role, but it's really saying, can you establish and get a company on path to achieve the goals necessary? And so how do you align and bring people into that role? How do you integrate them to be able to move forward?
What's your biggest challenge as far as your CEO role?
Making decisions early enough and being clear with the decisions. So those are things that I am definitely working on as I move into my next venture, and being able to, you know when you need to make a decision, you know when you need to make a hard call. So just going forward and making that decision and moving, instead of waiting to see how are the chips going to align. You have some level of gut intuition.
How do you deal with those like hard decisions? Like what keeps you like grounded when you do have to make hard decisions?
For me, I go on a run. So if there's something that's keeping me up the night before, getting on a run in the morning and just mulling over it while you're hitting pavement is really a good way to come to a conclusion. And it really works. Like, you just feel like, okay, now that I've had some headspace to focus on it, I'm not in front of a screen, I don't have people around me.
Right.
You really do have a way to come to the clear decision and how to move forward.
Was running something that you picked up later in life, or did you do it like as a teenager?
Definitely later in life. So it was, after I had my first son, I was picked up running as a way to build new skills, get in shape, stay active in that season of life.
Awesome. We've talked a little bit about RippleWorx. Would you like to talk a little bit about Hubtricity?
Yeah. So the latest project that I'm working on right now is with an organization called Hubtricity. So it's about 3 years old, and the individuals that have been developing this product have been developing almost forensics of financials for the hospitality industry. But they needed some level of setting up operations, getting things moving forward, setting up targets. And so it's exciting to come into this space. It's AI, which I love. I want to stay in AI and think about how do we lean into the latest automations and the latest ways to provide insights real time, and to provide to automate workflows, to be able to help people become more efficient and insightful. And this product is centered around that. So I'm excited about its potential and how to bring it forward.
Cool. What is the biggest challenge of coming into someone else's company? Because you said it was already 3 years old. What would you say is your biggest challenge in regards to that?
They have a vision, right? And so when you're coming in to take over that and run with that, it's making sure that you're just aligning with what they have in motion, but then also being able to clearly identify how might you need to take it to a different level, or come to those conversations early and often about, we're going to have to pivot here, or we're going to have to change directions here, or we may need to put some more fuel in the gas, or more fuel in the fire, gas in the tank, or however you say that, to move the organization forward. Or you might not have the right team to make it move forward in the direction that you ultimately want it to go.
As being a CEO, anything that you expected? Did you expect anything when you first originally founded RippleWorx?
At that point, we had a dream for a company. And so just being able to create that dream, deliver and develop that dream was ultimately what I had my sights set on. How do we move this forward? And I think I had such a strong opinion about how it should move forward and the way we should move it forward that I didn't see anybody else making those calls. And so I think that's how I came into that position of leading that effort.
Were you inspired by other people when you founded the company, or was it like all you? Like, did you just like dream it up one day?
No, definitely it was inspired by a lot of people. So my husband's, he has many PhDs, but one of them was based on a theory or model called KMO, and that was instrumental to the heartbeat of the product.
Oh, cool.
Being able to take in that work and put it into the framework of the product, and having, he had years of experience in organizational development and people analytics, and being able to say, how do we productize this so that people can see real time where they're motivated, where they have the skills and capacity to deliver something, and what does the organization need, and put that into a product. So that was definitely inspired by that. Looking back at my history, I've seen really strong leaders and have looked and seen ways that they've been able to run a company efficiently, how they've been able to be cost effective and capital efficient, and then also how they've made decisions and how they've led and built cultures. And one of the people that inspired me early in my career was the founder of Adtran. His name was Mark Smith. And he always had this way of knowing how to build a product that was very stable, worked the way customers wanted and expected, but being able to beat the competition in price and value and build up loyalty in a customer base.
Yeah.
And that always stood with me. Another one also in town is Danny Wyndham. So he was president of Adtran, went on to be CEO of Digium when I had the opportunity of working under him. And he led the organization with strong cultural values, and he often modeled how to lead well and could make decisions very effectively, and seemed to be very people-centric and cared about employees as well as driving an organization forward.
Right.
And some of the things that they allowed within the employee base was something I wanted to take further on into organizations that I led.
That's awesome. I actually want to, there's something that you said that I was like, oh, I like that. How do you go about building loyalty from consumers or just companies that are using your product?
So early on, I learned that people do business with people. And so ultimately, your product has to deliver what you say it will.
Right.
But also you have to provide continual value to what they need to. So identify pain points of your customer and be authentic to delivering those. But organizations change, needs change, and just staying on top of what would be needed with an organization and being able to continue to iterate and support where their challenges are.
Do you think that you've become a professional at that, or do you think that sometimes you still struggle with it?
So as far as customer management, I think that's probably a strength I have. I've done a lot of customer management in my career path. And so I've had the opportunity to work with large organizations, acquire large organizations like Nike, like Zeiss, Hilti, big brands, Daimler, and to be able to support this level of a customer. And it all came down to still people do business with people.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one time we won the Nike contract, and we were going up against a really big company at that time, and they were definitely the incumbent. They definitely had the brand, and we were a smaller company. This was with a German company I worked with, and we were able to win them over because we offered more of a concierge boutique type of service to them, and they felt like, you understand us. And so I think that level of listening well to your customer and delivering what they need versus what you're trying to sell them has always been something that I've been able to do well.
That's so cool. And I'm in STEM, but do you think that you learned those like valuable skills, like just the people aspect from like your liberal arts background?
I think it helps, right? I think having a broad background really can help.
Yeah.
And I do think if you are intentional about emotional intelligence, right, which could come from a liberal arts background or from that type of curriculum even, then I do think that can help come into your workforce, even if you're in STEM or a more technical where it's ones and zeros and bits and bytes type of career.
That's so cool. I want to know a little bit more about your original baby, RippleWorx. You said that you recently sold it. What led you to make that decision?
So we sold it last year in August, and we had taken in friends and family capital to build up RippleWorx. And we knew at some point we were in the AI space. To really grow and excel and be competitive in the market, we're going to need to take in some level of strategic capital.
Okay.
I think initially I wanted to wait maybe another year before we brought in strategic capital to do it. But the AI boom was coming, and we were seeing so many competitors get ahead in the space. And we also, when you're building up a company, you're doing all you can to make sure you're making payroll and you're able to keep the customers you have and manage the growth. And so bringing in strategic capital gives you the resources to have a little bit of breathing room with some money on the balance sheet to make decisions more quickly and move forward in a way where you're not always trying to make decisions on how are we going to get money in the door, so you can make more strategic decisions and allow to build out a product set to get ahead of some of these AI competitors in the space. So that was the motivation. Now looking back at the time frame and kind of how the market has changed and how the winds have changed, I think the timing was perfect.
Oh, cool. That's so awesome. Do you ever get scared of like business ventures sometimes? Like, I don't know, like being a CEO to me, like as a student, it's so like far away, you know? But I mean, you were a student at one point. Like, did you ever feel as afraid of what might happen?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are many sleepless nights, and there's some level of comfort when you listen, and I listen to a ton of podcasts. I listen, read a lot of books, audiobooks or regular books. And I think it's some level of like, okay, I'm not the only one facing these things. Like, because you're going to have problems. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to not get that client. You're going to lose a client. You're going to have one of your favorite people quit. You might be sued. Like, there are a lot of things that come at you as a business owner. And being able to say, okay, tomorrow's going to come. We're going to figure this out and move forward and just continue to be resilient and keep your eye on the ball is what has gotten me through that.
What keeps you inspired? Is it family? Is it means of like financial stability? What keeps you inspired?
I think I really love it. Like, I think I really love that building a company stage of being able to say, okay, here's an idea. Can we turn it into something? Can we build it out to meet the vision of that idea? And I think I'm, as I've said, I've been exposed to different parts of a business. That part I love the best.
That's really awesome. Going back to you, What are your other hobbies? I know that you talked about running, but do you have anything else that kind of like keeps you like zen and like sane?
Oh yeah, I do. So I do love running. I do love working out. I
Mhm.
do love starting a day. Here's a small plug, right? With something like Pure Barre to be able to kind of
Yeah.
like get in the mode and begin the day. So those would probably be my hobbies. I love being outside. Gardening. I think one that's kind of been intriguing to me lately that I've been trying to read about or learn about more is sort of this preventative medicine space. So
Oh, okay.
understanding like how do you flatten out the life expectancy curve? How do you build habits earlier in your life that you're gonna thank yourself for later in life? So this is all intriguing to me.
Wow, that's so awesome. Do you have any knowledge you can share about your preventative kind of avenue that you're going down?
Yeah, so it's a lot of it is tuned to your diet. And so that probably sounds like common sense, but really thinking about like what kind of foods are you eating and what kind of processed foods do you need to eliminate from your diet? Like a lot of this it can be detrimental later in life. And so thinking about that. And then I am a proponent of developing a good mindset, because this can also be indicative of like how you might be more susceptible to injuries or depression or these types of things. So trying to just align like some level of physical activity and maintaining a good diet, a clean diet, and keeping things with a positive mindset or resilient mindset. I think these are the building blocks.
Awesome. You have so much going on. You have your hobbies and your career, and you talked a little bit about your family. How do you manage your time? I feel like that's one of the main things that young people struggle with the most in figuring out is just time management. What was your journey like trying to figure out time management, and how do you do it now?
Yeah. Sometimes I've done it well. Sometimes it's awful. Like you're trying to get something done and you find yourself like doom scrolling or wasting time unnecessarily. So I'm not going to say I'm perfect at this, but what I do find to be successful is like in the morning making my list, like grabbing a cup of coffee and just saying, all right, these are the top 3 to 5 things that I need to knock out today. And just continue to think through that about like there's going to be a ton of things coming in my or on my plate, and if I can just knock out these 3 things, then at least I've accomplished that.
Okay, that's really awesome. I'll definitely be using that because I struggle with time management. For someone who would like to start a tech company, where do they start?
Start with the idea, and then the second thing is before you start to build it, get product market fit. And so find out who needs that product and why. What are their pain points? And then you won't get it right. You're going to change a million times as you build out the product. So don't fall in love too much with that idea, but learn how to develop the right solution that's going to have an easy use. So some level of low barrier to entry. People can use it quickly, understand it quickly, and it's going to solve their problem. And then from then you can start to build out your brand and you can start to build out your value proposition. But I think product market fit is the right way to start your tech company.
You talked a little bit about earlier how you were inspired by other people when you originally founded RippleWorx. How do people that want to start companies find those like-minded people that they can draw inspiration from?
Yeah, I've actually found WIT here in Huntsville to be a great place. I've been inspired by a lot of the people that show up here. There's this young hunger for building things with tech. I mean, that's contagious. And so I do love that community, but there's a ton of online groups that you can join, and you can just find a company that you think is interesting and like ask to meet the CEO and say, tell me about your journey and would you consider mentoring me and, begin it that way.
That's really awesome. I've never thought about that. Any advice for specifically women and girls in tech? Do you have any?
This is an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of advice I could give. One of the things that I think I have found to be most challenging, and I've heard from others, is communicating, right? Mm-hmm. And so feel free to speak directly, clearly, and speak up about your ideas. And you have, I'm assuming, very good ideas. So feel free to speak up about those ideas and to prove your point.
Awesome. What's next for you? This is an exciting question that I'm excited to get into.
Yeah. So right now I'm enjoying building up Hubtricity. That's been a lot of fun. But I am also going back to school. So I've been accepted into one doctoral program. I've submitted for a few different schools, but I'm excited that I could be going to the University of Southern California, so USC, and pursuing a doctoral degree from there.
That is so awesome. Are you going to move there or are you online?
It's an online program.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Awesome. What doctoral program are you planning on pursuing?
So I've been accepted to the University of Southern California's doctoral program in organizational change and leadership. And so I'm excited about this program. I am excited about USC because they're a leading entrepreneur university. And I also want to stay on the cutting edge of AI. And so they will have opportunities to do so. And I would love to someday down the road potentially teach or go into policy. And I feel like these would be good stepping stones to go into that.
That's so cool. Are you nervous about kind of re-entering the student mindset?
I am nervous about time management and figuring out how to excel in this program as well as continue in my entrepreneurial efforts.
I have a pretty big question. Do you have any regrets in your career?
Oh, yeah. There are always things. I don't know if regret is the word I would use, but things that I would do
differently.
Yeah, do differently, do better. I would say learnings. I have a lot of learnings in my career. And I can think of times where I would have made a decision differently or a different call on a decision. And, obviously pivot and you figure out how to make it. Maybe not hired certain people or when you see red flags early on, act sooner. So absolutely, I can think back to opportunities and learning situations. But yeah, I just think you go through that for a reason and you learn from it and take it into the next phase and do better next time.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We were very, very excited to have you. And we're excited to see what's next for you. I hope that you do really well in your doctorate program. I think that you're really inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time on WIT's Guide to STEAM.